Hello and welcome to week 8 in biopsychology, and we are taking on chapter 7, movement, how we move our bodies and the internal organs and all the ways in which the brain spinal cord controls the way things move. In fact, we think kind of the purpose of the brain. I kind of start off with that and say basically we have a brain so that we can move a body. Not only receiving information, but being able to move our body in the environment. We talk about muscles. We talk about the innervation, meaning the uh, introduction of nerves into the muscle tissue in order to stimulate cells for them to contract, relax, those kinds of, that's what we call innervation. And we borrow right from our sensation chapter about proprioception and the ability to move to know where our body is in space. There's some discussion of that in there, and then we kind of break down in a brief discussion and an image here from the course book here the parts of the brain that are involved in the somatosensory process, the taking in of information and sending out of information to the rest of the body. And I end up introducing in this part here as looking at the processes of the brain, introducing you to the author Malcolm Gladwell, who is not a psychologist. He's a journalist and has written several books about psychology. His most famous work is actually The Tipping Point, and but we're looking at his notion blink, and blink is comes in here. I put it in here in movement because blink has a sort of cognitive cousin to reflexes. So when we look at reflexes and we look at let's say a signal to the pituitary reflex, that's the one on your knee that they hit with a little hammer. You hit that nerve and that information goes to your spinal cord and then comes right back out. It doesn't go to your brain. You get the feelings eventually go up there. You know what's happened and you feel your knee jerk like that. But the decision to jerk your knee is actually processed at a lower part of your central nervous system. Essentially, your spinal cord made that decision. We take that analogy and we look about how we perceive our world. And that not necessarily associated with movement, but that same notion of lower processes, maybe below our consciousness, taking a role in the way we act in response to things going around us. And Malcolm takes the perspective that there's a skill set associated with this, that individuals develop an intuition about things. They get a sense of how people are, or what's a sense of what's coming up. And those people are able to pick up fairly well on the nuances of a situation in order to respond to them effectively. And not in the course book, but outside of the course book, if you look up the concepts from Blink, you'll see the skill sets that are there. For the first discussion, I'm asking you to consider how's your Blink skill set? According to that particular perspective of that same below consciousness gut instinct, let's talk about that. And how good is it for you? How much of those skills do you have? How have they advantaged you? Are there situations in which I wish I was better at that? I might have made a different decision. Those kinds of things. That's what we'll share in the discussion. In the Chapter 7 quiz, the first question is to define fast and slow twitch muscles. This is really anatomy and physiology, that part. And then I want you to take a complex motion, like a dance or playing a chord on a guitar or whatever, and I want you to map that out across what I have down here, the cerebellum and the basal ganglia. So you have the motor cortex, sensory motor cortex, and then you have these other parts of the brain. and I want you to describe the pathway. You've been doing this all semester. I've been having you describe pathways. It's really kind of focusing on this particular image. And you're certainly welcome to look up other examples of pathways. In fact, I'm going to say it. That's probably one of those chat GPT things. I got to tell you, like what would be the neural. And if you're going to do that, then read it and, see if that's and you're free to submit that, but certainly to kind of to read it to get a sense of what it came up with in terms of describing those different organs, maybe even to more detail than this. So this is probably one of those good areas to, look to chat GPT and see if it can come up with, describe the parts of the brain involved in motor movement for, put something out there, see what you get. That's interesting in and of itself, what chat GPT would say on that. So that's me giving you permission, basically. But don't do it blind. If you're going to use chat GPT, use it to help you learn about this process. So read what it produces, make sure it's accurate, because it produces gobbledygook sometimes. But kind of this is a good time to use that tool. And finally, there's a lab assignment. We're going to be looking at some reaction time. Again, looking at that motor process. You're going to have 3 subjects, including yourself if you wish, but you're going to have 3 subjects. You're going to be conducting an experiment using it's just basically an app that gives you an indication when you're supposed to tap a button, and it times how long it took for you to tap that button. And they're going to be collecting that data over time, over trials across people, and then producing some conclusions from that. That all of that is outlined in the course book. So here we're in week 8, and you're probably as aware as I am that after this week we have a week off. We have from this class. Life goes on, but we have a week off from all of your classes. So get this stuff in there. Everything's still due by Sunday. So, and then we have a week off, and then we regroup again on Monday. There won't be a video. I'll just put an announcement. Have a good spring break or something. There won't be a video, and there's no work that I'm expecting you to do for this class during that time. So let's get this stuff done this week. Get it all in there, and then we can go off and enjoy our spring break. We are all looking forward to it. And a well-deserved one, by the way, as submitting final grades recently, took a time to kind of look at how people are doing, and you guys are doing swell, if I can take that term from the 50s. They're doing very well, very, very happy with the progress across all of my classes. It's a wonderful semester. So you folks are doing really well, and keep up that good work, and take a well-deserved break if you can from the hecticness of your life when school's involved. So have a great week. I'll see you online, and take care.